I talk about four things. One, given that new world of HR, what are the disruptions that we should know and understand? Two, what are lessons learned about business partner? Three, how do I be a strategic positioner? And four, what then is new in talent? Now again, I could cover this for hours on any one of these boxes, but I'm going to give you a very quick overview of the menu of ideas that we should be aware of. The first is disruptions. Because of those four forces and the enormous rate of change, HR is being disrupted, and I'll pick three: outside in, information, and technology. These are three of the areas where HR is being disrupted. If I'm an HR professional, I need to understand these areas so that I can create that value and add value through HR. Let's go into detail on each one. Outside in. In workshops I run, I often ask the question, what's the biggest challenge in HR? And we see an evolution of those challenges. From an administrative challenge, which is true, we have to do work more efficiently, to a functional challenge. We have to hire, train, and pay. To a strategic challenge where we connect HR with the strategy. To an outside-in challenge where we use HR to deliver and drive business results in the marketplace. In the outside-in challenge, HR is connected to the customers. That context we talked about, the stakeholders we talked about, those external factors shape the HR practices. In staffing, we don't want to be the employer of choice. We want to be the employer of choice of employees customers would choose. We involve customers in training, performance management, rewards. Everything we do inside HR can be used so that we win in the customer and the investor marketplace. That's a disruption. HR is not about inside, it's about outside. A second disruption is information and analytics. Actually, let me go back to the first disruption. One of the disruptions with stakeholders that's really fun is to ask ourselves the question, who are the customers of HR? That's that top right of this picture. Almost always the customers of HR are seen as the employees of the company. In the disruption we see, the customers are not just the employees. They're also the customers of the company, the real customers who pay money, and the investors of the company outside. When we see that, we disrupt HR and look outside in. A second disruption is information and analytics. Again, this slide has way too much data, and it comes from Wayne Brockbank, my dear colleague in the Mideast. Here's what he's captured and others have seen: the speed. Speed of data is fast. Access to information, storage of data, volume of data, changing technology. Down at the bottom right, here's what we know in information: anytime, anywhere, anyhow. This webinar is a great example. We have on this webinar well over 1,000 people, 2,000 registered, all over the world, connected through the technology that allows us to connect in a very close and very intimate way. Information is incredible. And there's stories that you know and I know about that information. Here's what's fascinating about the change in information, again from Wayne Brockbank. In the world today, there's two kinds of information. One kind of information is what Wayne calls puzzles. It's the structured information. It's information found in spreadsheets. And the ambiguity in the world of information is solved by facts. These are analysts who look for statistical patterns. I like to do statistics. I like to look at big data. This information is critical because we find answers. The other kind of information is mysteries, and that's 80% of the information in the world. Instead of being an analyst, we become an anthropologist. We look for the unstructured, the new ideas, we ask questions. In the HR space, we have structured data. That's the puzzle data. We look for the data in the big data, the analytics, but we also have to look for the data in mysteries. What does this mean? In managing analytics today, the disruption occurs as we go through four phases. In the first phase of data, we have scorecards. In fact, in the 1990s, I did a book called HR Scorecard with two great colleagues. Today, I think that book would be out of date because the scorecard is information, mostly structured data about how we perform. Then we have big data, the structured data, the analytical data that gives us insight into what we do, predictive analytics. Now we're beginning to look at unstructured data that gives us information on intervention. Which HR practice has impact? And now in disruptive HR, we shift to impact. What does the business require and what HR information will be helpful? And again, what we're finding is some of that data is structured and some is unstructured. So the disruptions in HR. We have disruptions in HR around where we focus. Instead of focusing inside, we focus outside. That's the outside in disruption. We have disruptions in HR about analytics. I'm about to do a column, and in November it will be out by then. And it's actually a kind of risky column. Analytics is really an exciting place to play right now. Everybody in HR is almost, this is an American word, and I apologize for those not with English, but gaga. They're excited. It's the shiny new ornament, the shiny new object of analytics. So in our research, we did analytics on analytics. We studied analytics and the impact on the business. Here's what we found: almost none. Let me say that again. HR people and HR departments that do analytics do not drive business success. Here's why. We're at phases 1 or 2 or maybe 3. Until analytics gets to phase 3, which is impact, we're not driving the results we should drive. And impact of disruption is we don't start analytics with what HR is. We start analytics with the business. Here's the fourth disruption. Excuse me, technology. And again, let me evolve those disruptions. At the bottom, I think technology has built incredible systems and platforms to manage efficiency. And we use technology to take our existing work and do it more efficiently. Then we use technology to do innovation. We have some incredible innovators, and many of you are on the phone or on the webinar or listening afterwards in staffing and training. And technology enables us to upgrade those practices. Then we use the technology to access information. The previous slide, we use technology to get both structured and unstructured information to bring knowledge inside. But here's the rub. Where technology needs to go is in increasingly building connection. One of the data points from those 4 forces that shape our world is that people are increasingly feeling isolated from each other. The average 18 to 25-year-old today spends in America, I don't know the data from the rest of the world, about 6 to 7 hours a day in front of a screen. That could be their iPhone, it could be a tablet, it could be an internet, it could be a television. That technology tends to isolate us. And what we've discovered is the isolation is a dangerous thing. And in HR today, we need to find ways to use technology to create social networks, to build emotional connections, and to help people connect in more positive ways. In fact, the research on isolation is scary. That social isolation has more of a correlation with mortality or death than smoking, drinking, or obesity, some of the physical causes of death. Our job in HR to be disruptive is to use technology in a new way.